Hi everyone, it's ETL and I'm here with day 10, lean and green meal. So today what I'm going to prepare is some scallops with a little bit of broccoli, a little bit of asparagus that I'm going to broil, no oil, just some seasoning on top. They were frozen, so I let them defrost and put the seasoning on top, and you can see the seasoning is stuck to it. So because this takes about 20 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and put these into my little, well, it's not a Dutch oven. It's one of those top ovens where you can, I don't know why my thumb goes in the back, but it's one of those ovens that you can cook, broil, bake, do all kinds of fun stuff with. So because I'm having fish tonight, good news, I can have a little bit of oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my olive oil, and I already know from many recipes that I do how much a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of olive oil is from this bottle, and so I just go ahead and put it into the pan. Now for you who are new to the lean and green, please measure that because what may seem like not enough, maybe exactly 2 tablespoons, or it really may not be enough. So I'm going to turn my burner on. It gets hot fairly quickly. I got my plate ready. There are 2 seasonings that I use. I use Mrs. Dash Original and Table Blend. And the reason why I use this is because there's no salt in anything that I make. Now, if I have to go with salt, I do use light salt. However, I'm trying not to use that right now. I grew up on light salt. Only when I was in restaurants where salt, like what I call normal salt, is served, would I actually taste salt. So I pretty much have grown up on light salt all my life since I was a teenager, on light salt and cooking, baking, anything like that. It's great. It fulfills the salt necessity that you need, but trying to not retain water, trying to let it all go. So I'm trying not to do any salt whatsoever and leaving it to the seasonings. I do have other seasonings that I really, really love, but unfortunately their first ingredient is salt. So like this one, it has their first ingredient is salt. So so try to stay away from anything where the first ingredient is salt. So this is warming up real nicely while I'm talking. So I'm going to go ahead and put my scallions in, my 7 ounces. And then I'm gonna put, in this bag, it says broccoli and cauliflower. That's what I've been using. However, if you look inside the bag, it's mostly broccoli. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add that in as well. Kind of saute that together. So, let me get my little spatula. Okay, awesome. My little oven is ready to go. And, you know, I have a regular oven. It's just for little quick meals like this, or like a little 1 serving kind of thing. I love my little toaster oven. It really does what I need it to do. And sometimes I'll even just bake in there. I won't even go to the regular oven. Plus it smokes in the regular oven more than it does in the toaster oven for whatever reason. So I like to use it more than others. Because I put this one on the asparagus, I want the seasonings to kind of match. So I'm just going to add it to my pan here. And like I said, it's salt-free. I probably put a little bit more in there than what I should have, but that's what I do. I'll pay for it tomorrow, like they always say. So I'm just gonna make sure that everything is coated real nicely. The broccoli is, like I was saying, the broccoli is pretty much defrosted, but the scallops are not. I want to call them scallions, but those are onions. They look like mini onions though, because they're so small, but they really are scallops. That's what happens when you don't live in a coastal area. You get the small portions, not the large portions. So I'm just kind of tossing this around a little bit, kind of letting the oil get through to all of the flavors there. And then I'll turn it down and put a little bit of water like I did last night in. So as this is kind of, I'll put my lid on here to kind of help it a little bit along. All my pans have lids because I do this a lot, even just regular cooking. I'll start it, put the lid on it, and just go. So tonight's Eagle news, my little Texas eaglets, both of them hatched within a 24 hours. So we have Belle and we have Wrangler? No, that doesn't sound right. Little Belle, and I can't remember the other one's name, but it's a male name. And oh my gosh, they're cute little cutie pies. If I can figure out how to slice the video and insert a picture, I'll do it here. So they're just the cutest little things. I love when they're in the bobblehead stage. It's called the bobblehead stage. If you haven't followed my channel, don't know a lot about bald eagles, there's stages that a lot of us have little nicknames for. So when they're first born, because they're just like any baby, they can barely hold their head up and they're just hungry. They the little heads kind of bobble around like a little bobblehead kind of thing. So I nicknamed them little bobbleheads. Once they start getting their regular, not their regular feathers as per se, but like the regular feathers are starting to come through the down or the fluffy part of them. They look like little punk rockers because there's a white streak. The head is the last to get the down covered up. So we got little white streaks going on, and so I call them the punk rockers. Then after that, we've got, then they get what is their pin feathers, which is where the blood cycles through the feather itself and gives them all their nutrients and stuff, just like blood in us. And so that goes through the feathers, and we can see that. And so the pin feathers start coming through, and they're blue, or they look blue on camera. And so so then once they start hitting that stage, then we're starting preteen there. And then when they start winger sizing, start flapping those wings that they are now seeing feathers to, they're growing. I call that the teen years, because they act like teenagers. They want everything, they think they know everything, and they're going to tell mom and daddy about it. So they enter the teen years. And then once they do actually what's known as fledging, which is they actually fly off the nest. Sometimes it's an accidental fledge, which means that they were trying to get to a branch or trying to fly somewhere and they fell and hit the ground. Most eaglets that I see that do that are okay. Usually mama and daddy come back and they help feed the eaglet and get it to where it can fly to other places and maybe back up to the nest. They usually do fly back up to the nest once they have more confidence in themselves and realize that, hey, mama and daddy didn't leave me after all, after I told them off. And then that's when they really get territorial. So, because then they're like, oh, so I can follow mommy and daddy everywhere. So then they're like fighting with mommy and daddy to keep feeding them when they should be learning their skills on their own. So then that happens for a little bit, and then we stop seeing them. There have been sightings of some of the eaglets when they become a juvenile, because that's what they are. They're juvenile. Once they leave the nest, they're called juveniles for a couple of years, and then they're subadults, meaning that they're between 2 to 4 years old, and then 4 to 5 is when they hit adulthood. And that's when you start seeing the real white head and the white tail. During the time that they are subadults, they look like hawks. They're multicolored brown with white, with other browns mixed in. So it's really hard to kind of tell between a hawk and a subadult or a juvenile during that time, especially when they don't have the whites coming in on their head or their feathers. So I've got 2 eaglets in Texas. In Florida, we are on pip watch with Harriet and M15. Samson and Gabrielle, who also live in Florida, near Orlando, a little further north. They have 2 eggs as well. I'm not quite sure how they are on the pip watch, but I'm thinking we're getting pretty close within a week or 2. There is a nest in Georgia. You have Ma and Pa Berry there, except Ma had an accident a few years ago, and it seems that maybe that old injury has kept her out of the nest this year. So Pa found a new mate. And so I believe there is 1 egg there right now, and that's in Georgia. And so that's my eel news for today. So again, a lot of this is just cooking on its own. I mean, it's just doing its thing in here, except I can see that it's starting to sear a little bit. So I might want to turn this down. And my asparagus has about 10 more minutes. Because you don't want anything to burn, but you do want to get all the juiciness off of it. You do want, if you're somebody like me who loves fried food, I mean, I'm missing Taco Tuesday like crazy, then having it have some kind of sear or brownness to it kind of helps with the mental aspect of thinking, oh, okay, it's not as good as Taco Tuesday, but it's just as good. So so that's what I'm just doing now. Now, when you see scallions, scallops. See, I told you. They look like little onions, so I keep mixing them up. When you see scallops, they're usually really big and you can sear them on both sides and stuff. Well, with those being so little, I don't even think you can see that through the tongue. There we go. Those being so little, they're not going to sear like the big ones would. And my broccoli is a little more, I'm going to add a little bit of water to get some of that off the bottom. But my broccoli was already defrosted, my scallions weren't, so my broccoli is a little mushy. So, not very pretty tonight. So I'm just going to add a little water, and all that's going to do is help me get some of the stuff off the bottom, some of that scraping off the bottom. I might check on my asparagus here in a minute. It might be getting close to done too. How I know my scallops are done is if they're no longer white and they kind of have a brown tint to them. So if they're no longer white and they kind of have a brown tint to them, then I know they're ready to cook. If you're a temperature person, like some people want to know exactly the temperature of everything to make sure that it's edible, you can use a thermometer. I never was taught to use a thermometer, a meat thermometer. We always just kind of looked at it and it was like, oh, yep, it's done. So we just kind of knew. So I'm just going to pull these out. There's about 7 minutes left. I'm just going to pull these out and just double check. Oh, yep. Because like I said, they were on the verge of thawing when I put the seasoning on it. And look there. There we go. Nice and good. All right. Take some of that water. All right, so I'm gonna turn this off. Cancel that, because that's good to go. Actually, this is good to go. So I'm gonna start putting my plate together. So now this is a moderate green. Asparagus is a moderate green, so I can't have too many of those if I'm having it, just to make it even out. Because you don't want to have a lot of the same types of greens. So broccoli is more of a higher content green. And then, of course, I'm going to throw in my little salad mix here as well, so that I can get some low greens in there too. All right, so I'm going to start scooping this up. And again, my broccoli doesn't look very good because it was already defrosted. So it looks kind of like a little like mush. So it's not quite like it should be. Like it should look like broccoli. All right. And like I said last night, anytime you want to make any type of scrapings or anything like that, I mean, look at that. Ow! Look at that. I still can make scrapings like that. If I wanted to do old-fashioned roux or something like that, I still have some there that I could do that. But that's not part of it right now. So, all right. So here is what I have so far. So there's my scallops and my mushy looking, or scallions with my mushy looking broccoli. Okay, my asparagus looks really lonely on there. So let me just add my cup of greens so it has friends. So that's about a cup of greens. All right. So as I put it on my plate, kind of spread it out a little bit, make it look full. There we go. Nice. Let me move this handle, it's in my way. Nice lean and green meal for the evening. And lots of seasoning. So there we go. There's my lean and green for day 10. So far lost about 8 pounds since day 1. So feeling more energy. So far so good. So hope you guys have a great day, great evening. And remember, be good to one another and stay safe. Bye.